Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today, I am going over, explaining, analyzing the PWI 500 list that just dropped, a couple days ago. Now, for those that don't know, PWI is a very historic, long-running wrestling magazine. It stands for Pro Wrestling Illustrated, and every single year they put out a ranking of men and women, the PWI 500, the PWI 250. Something important to note, I'm pretty sure it is all in kayfabe, at least like the majority of it is in kayfabe, so the top people are going to be the people who are winning and the world champions. So once you kind of get up to the top, it's not like that surprising, but I think it's still interesting to look at. Before I get started, please leave your likes, comments, subscribe, turn on the bell for notifications, hit the Patreon, hit the merch, everything in the description, my stuff, you get it. All right, we are going to look at the top 24. So number 24 here is Braun Breaker. I have everything kind of listed. We're going to go over it. Another thing that's important to note, the time frame in which these accolades or whatever count is August 2024 to July 2025. So some stuff that recently happened isn't going to count, but we're looking at Braun Breaker here. He held the IC title, then lost it to Jay, and then he won it back from Jay. He had a reign of 181 days in total before dropping the IC title to Dom after winning it back from Jay at WrestleMania 41, and then obviously a very strong staple and force in the division. We're not going to spend too much time on the lower rankings, but I think Braun Breaker is having a breakout handful a year. Would you consider this maybe his rookie year, second year, whatever, real breakout star? I think he's doing great. Has had some memorable matches, and I think being a part of the division definitely kind of bumps him up in the stats, being buddies with Seth Rollins. Number 23 is someone that I am not too educated on, but someone that, especially after watching All Out this past weekend, someone that I am now aware of, way more aware of, and someone that I am going to educate myself on, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of their work, but that is Mascara Dorada. Apologies if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. Now, the match at All Out does not count, but through some research, the stuff I kind of found, according to Wikipedia, it says that Dorada held the CMLL Universal Championship and currently holds 1/3 of the CMLL World Trios Championship. So again, can't talk about this one too much. I'm not too in the know, but again, based off the triple threat match, that doesn't even count for this ranking. I think this is deserving. I think this is very deserving. I'm excited to see more of Dorada. So if you haven't checked out Dorada like I have, I encourage you to check out some Dorada. Dorada. Okay. At number 22, LA Knight comes in. It's been a real up and down year for our Los Angeles Knight, but judging by his placement, maybe more ups than downs. He held the U.S. title during the latter part of 2024, earning a 119-day reign. I think that alone kind of puts his place in the top 25. He then won the U.S. title back from Shinsuke Nakamura in March of 2025, then dropping it to Jacob Fatu at WrestleMania 41, ending a 43-day reign. A couple of world title opportunities sprinkled throughout the year. Yeah, I think it's a very appropriate placement. Mid-card accolades. You're going to kind of see some of the mid-card IC US title kind of in the 20 to 15 or 12 range. I think that's kind of if you're judging kayfabe and you're judging rankings wise, I think that makes sense. All right, number 21 is formerly known as Dolph Ziggler, our friend Nick Nemeth. Are all these people our friend? Maybe. In the past 365, Nick Nemeth successfully defended his TNA World Championship against the likes of Mustafa Ali, Josh Alexander, Moose, Joe Hendry, Eddie Edwards, and AJ Francis. Had a total of 183-day reign before then dropping it to a Joe Hendry. And then I believe this counts. I kind of forget the date on here, but the Nemeths won the tag team titles from the Hardys, and then a month later lost the titles back to the Hardys. But Nick Nemeth is someone that's been holding it down for TNA for so long, a staple, a main event player in TNA. I'm really glad he's found his footing kind of in the later, or for the later half of his career, I should say. Still a staple, obviously, almost sniffing top 20, still a staple in the professional wrestling world. I love it. I think it's great to see. Coming in at number 20 is Jacob Fatu with just a breakout year from a breakout star. I think top 20 is so deserving, even though he did lose a lot within these 365 days. We're going to go over it here. Within this time frame, he joined the new bloodline, participated in some big matches, including War Games. His success really came in 2025, however, winning his feud against a Braun Strowman and then defeating LA Knight for the US title at WrestleMania 41, which is his first singles title in the WWE. So just, again, a massive rookie year. We had the big I hate you Solo moment, the turn on Solo that would eventually lead to him dropping the US title to Solo at Night of Champions, ending a 70-day reign. He then unfortunately lost the steel cage match against Solo Sikoa for that US title. Like I said, for as much of a breakout year it was for Jacob Fatu, it was kind of filled with a lot of losses. And again, if I know PWI appropriately and know this list appropriately, like all of that comes into kayfabe, and they do take into consideration like match quality, you know, TV time, how relevant they are, and blah blah. It's not just like title wins and whatever. And I think regardless of some Jacob Fatu losses, and now like I don't know where he is now. I think what he did for the main roster and the mid card, you know, coming onto the scene has just been, you know, something to really note. I think is well deserving of a top 20 spot. I think we're honestly, I don't know if he's going lower. I think for the next following years, he's going to be creeping and creeping up. I would be shocked if he dips below 20 for the next few years to come. Few years, a big handful of years, I should say. Number 19, Trick Williams. He won his second NXT title against Ethan Page and then retained it in a rematch weeks later. He retained that said title against a Ridge Holland and Eddie Thorpe. He had a 98-day reign before it ended to an Oba Femi. Then after that, he went on to defeat Joe Hendry for the TNA World title. He then retained it against Mike Santana, Elijah, and Moose, and he still currently holds that TNA title at the time of recording. Just a guy that, I mean, he has improved so much over the past couple of years, and now I think he's so ready for the main roster. I don't think he's done with NXT. Obviously, he still has like the TNA title, and maybe he touches the NXT World title again. I don't know, but I am very excited to see how this TNA World title journey kind of wraps up, and I think at that point, we're seeing him go to the main roster. Guy's a star. He's phenomenal. Top 20 deserving. I would even argue maybe a little bit higher, but we'll move on. All right, at 18 is Damian Priest. A couple things of note for Damian. He was a part of the Terror Twins with Rhea Ripley. He won his feud against Finn Balor. Didn't seem like it was ever going to end. He did fail twice to regain his World Heavyweight Championship from Gunther. He did qualify for the Elimination Chamber, and then he lost to Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania 41. Then he also lost the U.S. title Fatal 4-Way. I forgot to note where that is. So another person that's had his ups and downs, but someone that proved to be a staple at the top of the card and a mid card. But I don't know. And I'm not just being a Damian Priest. I have retired my Damian Priest hater jersey, right? Just judging by these accolades. And accolades don't tell the whole story. They don't really tell you the, you know how prevalent he was on each Monday Night Raw and some matches that kind of get overlooked because they're not title matches. I'm fully aware of that. But I mean, over like a Nick Nemeth who had the TNA title for so long, over a Trick Williams, excuse me. I don't know. It's debatable. We'll move on. All right, coming in at number 17, a guy who I think is just going to be the future of the industry. I mean, he's already the now of the industry, but you know what I mean. He has a long list of accomplishments we're going to go over here. Number 17 is Konosuke Takeshita. I honestly think it might be low. We're going to get into it, but I think it might be low. Now, also important to note, I am going to start off this list with a loss. However, I do think, especially in kayfabe, it's important and notable to note these losses, right? Especially if they are big world title losses, because that means you made it to the dance. You made it to second place. I think that's still a huge accomplishment, especially in the eyes of this PWI 500 ranked list. Now, it doesn't do as much for you as, coming in first place and winning said title. However, like I said, you got there. You made it to the championship match or the number one contender. I think that still holds a lot of weight. And that's kind of gonna go for like a lot of people we talk about today. Takeshita lost a fatal 4-way match for Okada's Continental title at last year's All Out. He then defeated Ospreay and Ricochet at WrestleDream to win the AEW International Championship, which is his first AEW singles title. He then defended that title against Ricochet and Powerhouse Hobbs, then later defended it against TJP in New Japan. Then he dropped said belt to Kenny Omega after a 148-day reign. If you jump over to New Japan, he defeated Takagi to retain the international title and win the Never Openweight Championship. He retained the next day against Ishii. He defeated Hiroshi Tanahashi at Windy City Riot in Tanahashi's final match in the United States. Technically not included with this qualifying time frame, counted, but he did go on to win the G1 Climax, which was his second ever entry in said tournament. Again, his actual win and crowning was not within the time frame of this ranking. However, most of the G1 Climax and his climb and build throughout this tournament was within this time frame, so I think that's still important to know. And, maybe people knew what it was going to lead to when this kind of led off in July of this year. But again, I mean, what a track record of matches. I don't even know if you'd call this like a breakout year. So I think the year before was a breakout year, and the year before that was a breakout year. The guy's a star. I think he is going to have a fantastic rest of the year, next 2026, 2027 in AEW. And similar to a lot of the people at this level in this list, I think this is going to be the lowest we see Takeshita for a very long time. He's only going to skyrocket to a top 17, very deserving, but low-key might be low. Low-key might be low. I don't know. We're gonna keep talking about people, but Takeshita might be low. All right, coming in at 16 is Bandito, a person that many are already considering for Wrestler of the Year. I don't blame people. I think he's for sure in that conversation. We'll get down to it in the Stache Awards premiere at the end of this year. Start things out with a loss to Jericho for the ROH title. Then 2 months later, did defeat Chris Jericho for that ROH title in a title versus mask match. He then defended that title against Takeshita, defended it against Dorada and CMLL, and then later on this year, he formed a tag team with Brody King named Brodito, and he won the AEW World Tag Team titles with Brody King. And then obviously All Out doesn't count. All Out is outside of this time frame. However, still a very fun and amazing tag title run while still holding it down, doing stuff in ROH, and just a fantastic guy who I think has won a lot of people over and has caught the attention of a ton of people, especially, I knew about him. I've been on the Bandito wagon, but ever since his return, man, he has just been so killer. 16 deserved, again, low, but maybe if, next year's, I think he's definitely going to be higher. I don't want to say that for every single person, but like Bandito is going to be way higher in next year's. All right, number 15 is CM Punk, someone that I think also had a very solid year. He won his feud with Drew McIntyre that culminated in a strap match and in Hell in a Cell match. Just a fantastic and staple feud for WWE during this time. He main evented night one of WrestleMania 41, where Seth Rollins did defeat him and Roman Reigns. He lost his title match against John Cena, but Punk would go on to defeat Gunther to win the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam, but immediately lose that title to Seth Rollins, cashing in his Money in the Bank briefcase. That gave CM Punk the shortest reign in that title's history at 5 minutes and 9 seconds. But hey, record books are still going to say you won the title. You know what I mean? Still counts. Won the title. Still held it. So counts. It counts. Then obviously kind of had this continuous blood feud with Seth Rollins. We're not going to get into every single instance or whatever, but I think a great year for Punk. I think maybe a little high given some of the names and accolades we've mentioned, but I'm not saying not deserving. I think maybe just some other people I think deserve to be a little higher, but he's been a staple within the past 365 days and a great addition, like I said, staple to the Raw roster. Number 14 is Obafemi. I think so deserved. And I'm going to say it again for him. Number 14 is as low as he's going to go for a long time. Obafemi is the future. I really, really hope the main roster don't fumble him. I'm really enjoying his work in NXT right now. So he became the longest reigning NXT North American champion. Then he dropped that title to D'Angelo after a 30-match win streak. He failed to regain the title in a rematch. He then defeated Trick Williams and Eddie Thorpe to win the NXT Championship, which he would retain against Waller and Theory, Moose, Trick Williams, and Javon Evans, and then Miles Bourne, and he is the current NXT champion. Now, again, different things hold different weight, right? Main roster world titles are going to hold a much heavier weight than an NXT, call it the minor league or league before you get called up to WWE. It's just going to, world title there is just going to hold less weight, and I think that's reflected here with his ranking. Then you look at the North American Championship, where it's a beautiful title, prestigious title in NXT. However, it's just still going to be under most, if not all, of the main roster titles. So I think that's why his placement is so low. I would still argue it to be a little higher, just a little bit. But again, I'm fine with it because he's not sniffing. He is cementing his spot in the top 10 next year. But Obafemi, happy to see you in the top 15. All right, number 13, someone who a lot of people, this is the most controversial spot I have heard about in this list. A lot of people are saying this guy should be higher. Number 13 is Zack Sabre Jr. People are, especially the people that have come after him that we're going to talk about, people are not happy with Zack Sabre Jr. not being in the top 10, and I think it's a pretty reasonable argument for people to be upset about. I think he might probably be in the top 10, but let's look at what he did. He is the current New Japan World Wrestling Wrestling Champion. He won the title against Naito and then won the rematch. He defended against Umino and then Ricochet. He lost the title to Gato after 120 days. He then regained that title in June of this year, defeating Gato, and then, for the pronunciation of these names, and then he did lose in the semifinals of the G1 Climax 2, the winner of the whole thing, which, they didn't know at this time of making this ranking, Konosuke Takeshita. But, the New Japan World Championship, that's the top of the top for that industry, company, whatever. Like, people that get ranked at the top is like WWE Champion, AEW Champion. I feel like the New Japan World Championship should hold that same amount of weight, you know what I mean? I would be very curious to see where PWI kind of puts that weight. Is the WWE Championship the most? Is like the New Japan World Championship that much less, like, for lack of a better term, significant in the eyes of these list makers? Does it not hold as much weight? I don't know. But seeing these accolades, it is pretty shocking, especially he had the title and then he dropped it and then he won it again. He's the current champion. Usually that holds like so much weight, and I am shocked to see him out of the top 10. I'm not sure where he was last year. I'd imagine he was higher. I'm pretty sure he was in the top 10 last year, but I understand and pretty much agree with people's criticism of Zack Sabre Jr.'s placement, especially people started to note who was directly after him, which is number 12, Joe Hendry. People are not happy that Joe Hendry beat out a Zack Sabre Jr., but let's look at Joe Hendry. First of all, just continuing his breakout moment and his viral year that he had with his song and him coming onto the scene and making a name for himself. But first he lost to Nick Nemeth for the TNA World title. That is still a controversial decision to this day. He then became the number one contender again and then finally beat Nick Nemeth for the TNA World title, to which at that time a lot of people were saying that might have been too little too late. They should have pulled the trigger earlier. Don't know. He would then go on to defend that TNA World title against Matt Cardona, Jake Something, Ryan Nemeth, Hammerstone, and then Ethan Page and Frankie Kazarian. He then dropped the title to Trek Williams and failed to win it back. He did fail to win the NXT title from Ethan Page. He had a Royal Rumble debut, and then most notably in terms of the WWE main roster, he answered Randy Orton's open challenge at WrestleMania 41, ultimately losing, but creating a staple of a memory for that WrestleMania 41 event, turning around, hitting the Joe Hendry thing, getting hit with the RKO. I think Joe Hendry is deserving of being this high, but again, if you look at some people under him, it is kind of like, I think he's maybe still should have been in top 15, top 20 for sure. I don't know about 12. And granted, again, I don't know the exact things outside other than just like looking at kayfabe wins and, whatever its significance for this list. But is this maybe because he was just so over? Is the New Japan World Championship really that far under the TNA World Championship? Is that the decision? I don't know. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. All right, we're sniffing the top 10 with someone that just got left out of the top 10. Number 11, Kazuchika Okada. He defended his Continental title against Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, and Takeshita in a fatal four-way match. He unsuccessfully challenged Bryan Danielson for the AEW Championship, which was his first singles loss as an AEW talent. He won the 2024 Continental Classic Championship tournament, retaining his title. That's the Continental title, that is. He did go on to defend his Continental title against Buddy Matthews, Brody King, and Speedball Mike Bailey separately. In a massive win, he defeated Kenny Omega to unify the Continental and International Championships to create the AEW Unified Championships. A lot of tongue twisters and a lot of words in these sentences. And then in doing so, and all of these reigns and defenses, he became the longest reigning champion in AEW history, defeating Jade Cargill's previous record with the TBS title. Yeah, I don't have much to say other than, he's still one of the best, even, later on now in his career. People say he's out of his prime. I don't know how true that is. Sometimes he wants to show up more than, whatever. But if you just look at the accolades and the significance of what he's done for AEW in the past year, I think 11 is very deserving. I think it's a fair argument to argue for top 10. Speaking of number 10, we have Will Ospreay, who I think is always finding himself in this upper echelon of people. He had an AEW International Championship run, defeating MJF for it at All In. He defended against Pac and Ricochet before losing the title to Takeshita. He had Match of the Year contenders with Kyle Fletcher and Swerve Strickland. Then he had a fun little tag team with Swerve Strickland. Then he participated in the Lights Out Steel Cage match. A great year. I'm kind of shocked he's this high now just reading through the accolades. And again, have to preface that just reading off these accolades don't really give you the picture picture of like the week-to-week performer and the matches that I haven't talked about, I would say definitely not his best year. And I don't know too if like maybe if you're like high on the list and you have a worse year, like do you get ranked based on where you were last year, or is it a totally fresh ranking? That I also do not know. Still though, his meh year is leagues better than a lot of people's best year of their lives. You know what I mean? I love Ospreay. I've been enjoying him wrestle. I am hoping he comes back soon. Obviously, as he's getting surgeries, I should say. So yeah, I'm excited to see Will Ospreay continue to wrestle. That's my sentiment. Number 9, that will be Mystico. Now, someone that I haven't seen a lot of their CMLL stuff. I haven't seen too much stuff out of their AEW stuff. But knowing what I do know, just a massive star in Mexico and CMLL has just worked tremendously to get himself over and get him to the place that he is currently at. Some accolades include him holding the NWA World Historic Middleweight Championship in CMLL. He did vacate that title in October of 2024. He then won the Vive Latino Championship. Then he had a feud with MJF that would lead to Mystico defeating him in a title versus mask match, winning the CMLL World Light Heavyweight Championship. However, just to note, this match does not get included in the rankings. It was just out, but I think this feud and the lead up to it, I think still, matters. He also held the MLW World Middleweight Championship, vacating it in April of this year so he could move up in weight classes. Again, I think this is a exact example of maybe some of these accolades not immediately adding up to this number 9 spot, but I think what's going to add up to it is seeing the week to week and, again, how he got himself over. I can't speak too much about it. Again, this is one, admittedly, as someone who covers mainly WWE and mainstream AEW, I'm not too familiar, similar to other people on this list, but someone that I am absolutely still keeping my eye on, and you should too. All right, coming in at number 8 is Seth Rollins. I think a guy, and people give him flack. I don't know. He doesn't get the credit he deserves. I think because he's on top, people just like crapping on him and blah, blah, blah. Seth Rollins is still that guy. His blood feud with CM Punk for a lot of that past year. He went on to defeat CM Punk and Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania 41 with Paul Heyman aligning with him. I mean, that's going to bump you up in the rankings winning your WrestleMania main event. He did form the Vision by adding Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. He did win the Money in the Bank match that he would later dramatically cash in, coming off a fake injury at SummerSlam, or not, the injury didn't happen at SummerSlam, you know what I mean, did the drop crutches thing, would cash in on CM Punk after him holding it for 5 minutes to win the World Heavyweight Championship, continuing that blood feud, and then he would defend the title against LA Knight via DQ, but a lot of Seth Rollins' stuff, in this conversation is also via DQ or interference because of the Vision. However, in kayfabe-wise, in this list, that Vision help really makes him dominant and winning. If he's winning, he's going to be ranked higher. It doesn't matter if you like it or dislike it, or if it's crappy wins or successful, clean wins. Like, he's still getting dubs. He's still the world's champion. He still won Money in the Bank. Still had all these accolades that are going to get him pretty high in the rankings. And yeah, deserved. I think I said my piece. I think that, whatever. I think very deserved. Seth Rollins, a person that will just get discredited very, very often, and I don't know why. I think maybe it's lonely at the top. I don't know. Did that even make sense? We're going to move on. Number 7 is someone who has quickly become one of my favorite wrestlers in the past 2 or 3 years. Swerve Strickland, coming off a historic feud for AEW and wrestling in general with Hangman Adam Page. He got his childhood house burnt down. I think that counts for something. He then lost to Hangman in their lights out steel cage match, which was a heavy, and I think my match of the year contender / match of the year in 2024. He won his feud with Ricochet. He did fail to win his AEW title match against Mox, but was due to controversial Young Bucks interference. Helped get the W at Anarchy in the arena. Went to a time limit draw with Will Ospreay, then had a fun little tag with Will Ospreay, and then unsuccessfully challenged Okada for his AEW Unified Championship. Wow. God, I'm getting lightheaded reading all these accomplishments. We're not even in the top 5. Oh my God. I mean, just talk about a guy who is just, put in the work. I don't think maybe, obviously as successful as when he had the AEW World Championship, but still a stellar year. There's not much more I can say, after reading those accolades. But again, excited to kind of see, Swerve Strickland continue into 2025 and into 2026. And I think very, very well deserved for, what is that, 7? Top 7. Now, oh boy, here's where things get controversial. Number 6, above every single name I have mentioned before this name, is Jey Uso. Ooh, people are not happy, especially with Zack Sabre Jr.'s placement. People are not happy with this Jey Uso placement. But again, folks, kayfabe. Kayfabe, I think, is and I know is the heaviest place of consideration or piece of consideration they take into this ranking. And Jey Uso had he had a year, man. He had a year. You have to admit, kayfabe wise, or you don't like his in ring or not. I'm a Jey Uso defender. I think he deserves all the credit in the world. But let's go through it. First, he defeated Braun Breaker in a shocking win to win the Intercontinental Championship on Raw, which was his first singles championship. He retained it against Xavier Woods before dropping the title back to Braun Breaker after only 28 days. Helped get the W in War Games. He lost his first challenge to Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. Went on to win the Royal Rumble, eliminating John Cena. I think that accolade alone shoots him right up here in the top 10. He then would go on off that Royal Rumble win to defeat Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 41, making him pass out. He defended that title against Seth Rollins and Logan Paul. He then dropped the title back to Gunther after 51 days and then lost in the semifinals of King of the Ring to Cody Rhodes, but still, you made it to the dance. Again, say what you will, but on paper, that's a historic and monumental, and it's probably going to be the best year of his career. So regardless if you hate him or you love him, the kayfabe wise speaks for itself, and it's hard to argue, especially when you win the IC title and the World Heavyweight Championship and you win the Royal Rumble. Like, you should be pretty high. All right, coming in at number 5, someone again, as someone who mainly covers WWE and AEW, someone I unfortunately am not too hip to, and apologies on the name pronouncement, Hiroki Goto. He defeated Zack Sabre Jr. for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Then he defended it against Hiroshi Tanahashi, Nagata, David Finlay, Umino, Newman, and Tagaji, sorry. He broke the reign record and combined record for most successful defenses with 7, and then he dropped the title back to Zack Sabre Jr. Now, not like the longest, list of accomplishments, but I think him holding the New Japan World title for so long is what put him here, especially breaking that record. I'm sure those matches against those people I mentioned were like all-timer matches, especially the Zack Sabre Jr. matches. So yeah, please, again, as someone that I don't know or I'm not as aware of him, please in the comments let me know, what should I check out, what matches should I watch, what really solidified him in your opinion to get into the top 5. All right, at number 4 is Hangman Adam Page. Just again a great year, someone that also finds himself in this upper echelon of professional wrestlers. He was the successful half of the monumental feud aforementioned with Swerve Strickland. He won the Owen Hart Cup to earn a world title match. Then he defeated Jon Moxley in a Texas death match to win the AEW World Championship. He then defended that title successfully against MJF at Forbidden Door. And again, I think this is where it comes into play, where the top WWE championships and AEW championships hold the most weight, right? It's not the longest list of accomplishments. He didn't win this title, this tournament. He won, a tournament and a title. Decent enough in my book, I think. With all that said, I'm never disappointed with a Hangman Adam Page match. Just someone that can absolutely be the face, my voice is getting hoarse, be the face of the company whenever they need him. I think a great champion. The current AEW champion, I think very important to note, maybe not for this list because they don't take it into consideration, but still the running champ as we're speaking today. And again, some of those matches with Swerve Strickland are my favorite matches of all time. And then you also look at, maybe I breeze past the Owen Hart Cup because that was a tournament. You had to win matches, plural, to keep ranking up and going up in that tournament. So I think that was also a big part of his placement. But yeah, number 4, very well deserved. Going to number 3. Number 3 is going to be Gunther. Now, really curious what people think of this. I think maybe a controversial spot. I think pretty deserving, but me included, people did enjoy his IC title run the year prior a lot better, but we'll go to the accomplishments regardless. First of all, went into this ranking as the World Heavyweight Championship, and he defended against Randy Orton and Sami Zayn. Then he lost to Cody Rhodes for the inaugural Crown Jewel Championship, which is, whatever. He retained his championship against Damian Priest and Finn Balor, and then Jey Uso, ultimately losing the title to Jey Uso at WrestleMania 41 by passing out, ending his 259-day reign. Again, not as, in my opinion, monumental or as fun or in-ring quality good as his IC title run. Even character-wise, it wasn't as good as his IC title run, but 259 days, kayfabe, you gotta give it to him. Then defeated Pat McAfee, not even sure why I included that. Won the title back from Jey Uso via technical submission. Retained the title against Goldberg, which again, if you're defeating a legend, kayfabe-wise, is massive. The match is kind of Didn't really matter to me. Would then drop that title to CM Punk at SummerSlam, which doesn't matter for this, but the cash in, blah, blah. But still, on paper and in general, I think a very, very solid run. I think people are going to be critical of the number 3 spot, just given his previous track record. I think because our expectations of Gunther are so high that when it's like, our expectations are right here, and when he hits like right here, we're still just like, oh man, he didn't, he didn't hit our crazy high expectations, but I think those expectations are set for good reason because he is one of the best in the world, and I love him in the top 3, bronze medal, podium spot, well-deserved. See ya when you come back, Big Gunth. Also, I'll note here, because the next one is a Shield member, and to remind me, Roman Reigns excluded from this list. I guess there's qualifications that you have to have a certain number of matches to qualify. So if you're curious where some people are, that's the reason. Number 2, Jon Moxley, someone who is always in my list of favorites. Now, sure, some people were pretty critical outside of kayfabe about the Death Riders angle, and Death Riders wasn't really hitting. Fully turned that around at this point. Now the Death Riders are fully hitting. People weren't loving his AEW World title run. Whether you loved it or you didn't, kayfabe-wise, he was still a title. He was still a dominant champion. But we'll go here to the accolades first. He assumed control of the Blackpool Combat Club, ultimately forming the Death Riders. Defeated Bryan Danielson for the AEW Championship, just brutalizing him after the match, having you to suffocate him. Boom. Death Riders super solidified. I think that's what I'm getting tired. Been talking a lot. He defended said title against Orange Cassidy, and then in a fatal 4-way match against Cassidy, Hangman, and Jay White. He also defended the title against Powerhouse Hobbs, Cope, and Christian Cage. Cope again, Swerve Strickland, and Samoa Joe. Would then drop the title to Hangman in the Texas Death Match, ending what was a 273-day reign. He had the title in the briefcase, and Hangman finally took it out and saved AEW, and it was great. Also lost the rematch on Dynamite, which was also just a fantastic match. I mean, I can't speak highly enough about Jon Moxley. I'm always defending Jon Moxley whenever one month the internet decides to hate him, the next month they love him. I think Jon Moxley is a wrestler's wrestler. You might not have to love his death style or all the blood or whatever, but you got to give it to him. Blood, sweat, tears. He's one of the most dedicated wrestlers we have today, and he, combines perfect old school style and techniques with like a modern day, also style. I just think he's one of the best. I think he really, really does deserve number 2, especially for putting AEW on his back for the past year, and still hasn't taken a vacation. Now he's going on to feud with Darby. Mox, you can take a break. Go on the beach. Hang out with Renee. You deserved it. You earned it. You're number 2. You earned it. And at number 1, I think you could have guessed at this point, back-to-back number 1 spots is the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. He joins the likes of John Cena, Stone Cold, and Bret Hart. They're the only ones to get this back-to-back for the PWI list. That list is, listen to that list again. John Cena, Stone Cold, Bret Hart, Cody Rhodes. So sick, dude. Let's go down this list here. First of all, just proving why he's QB1. He can be, and for a long time will be the face of WWE. He worked so hard to get here. Let's go into specifics, guy. We're getting toward the end of the video. I'm barely talking. All right, he was coming off his WrestleMania 40 title win, which he defended that championship that he won at that event against a Kevin Owens and Solo Sikoa. He defeated Gunther for the inaugural Crown Jewel Championship, which again, sure. He'll go on to defend the title against Kevin Owens again at Saturday's main event, and then once more in a ladder match at the Royal Rumble, concluding their really, really fun feud. Cody Rhodes would then lose his WWE Championship to a heel John Cena at WrestleMania 41, ending his historic 378-day reign. Say what you will about it. It's over a year. It's over 365. Again, you're allowed to be critical about maybe the match quality, and, we say it on the podcast too, where it is so tough to be a top babyface champion. The chase for the babyface is always more entertaining and enthralling than the actual win and babyface reign. But Cody Rhodes has just taken it in stride. I think he is always killing it. He's always on his A game. And then, sorry, that's not even it. He then went on to win the King of the Ring tournament, which again, huge. Had to go through the whole tournament to earn a title shot against John Cena at this past SummerSlam, which he would in fact win. He won. Became champion again. Is the current WWE champion, which I think honestly holds the biggest amount of weight in my eyes, kind of just what I'm seeing based on reviewing the list for the past couple of years. Seems like it holds the most weight with this PWI list, and it makes sense, man. I mean, back to back is so sick. What can I say about Cody Rhodes' past 1 or 2 years that hasn't already been said? I love him. You love him. We all love him. You love the neck tattoo. He looks great with that title. And yeah, I think he's gonna be in this top 5, top 3 conversation for years to come. I mean, he's always going to be floating around this WWE Championship, period. So well-deserved. Congratulations, Cody Rhodes, for number 1 on the PWI 500 list. Folks, let me know your thoughts, opinions, what's controversial to you. Let me know in the comments. I want to know who got snubbed, who should be higher, who should be lower. Please check out all the quizzes and my stuff and everything. It's all in the description. I have my own wrestling YouTube channel where I post more solo stuff. And with that said, thank you once again for being here. I'll see you next time. I'll see you in the next video. Please check out the podcast when it comes out. Enough plugs. I'll see you when I see you, and I'll give you one of these for the road. Boom. Peace.